The exact story of Larfleeze is shrouded in mystery, as it begins billions of years ago, and much of it was covered up by the Guardians of the Universe, powerful aliens who would one day create the Green Lanterns. Larfleeze, as he would come to call himself, although apparently that's not even his real name, appears to have been born on a simple farming world called Ogatu, before he was made a slave by alien invaders. He was forced to mate with a prisoner named Brokia, and she and their offspring were sold off into slavery. Eventually, Larfleeze was able to escape his captivity and joined up with a group of pirates. They raided a planet called Maltus, where they stole many treasures, including a box containing a powerful being called Parallax, and a map created by a guardian named Krona, said to lead to something incredibly valuable. The pirates made their way to a world in the Vega system known as Okara. Larfleeze and the rest of the crew fell into a temple on this strange and empty world, and inside, they found an orange lantern-powered battery. The pirates found this mysterious artifact mesmerizing, and the thieves began to fight over one another for it. The Guardians arrived, backed up by their army that predated the Green Lanterns, a powerful legion of androids called the Manhunters. The orange light of avarice, which emanated from the power battery, drained the energies of both the Guardians and the Manhunters. In the ensuing battle, pirates, Guardians, and Manhunters all died. Given the situation, the surviving Guardians made an offer to Larfleeze and the remaining other pirate named Blooch. In exchange for Parallax, the pirates could keep the orange battery, so long as it remained here on Okara. The Vega system would be named Forbidden Space by the Guardians, and would be left to the orange light. The pirates readily agreed to these terms, but there was one final condition to the deal. Larfleeze and Blooch could not share this power.
Consumption complete. Identity stolen. Replicating. Blooch of Sector 2828. You belong to Agent Orange.
For billions of years, Larfleeze existed in isolation, killing anyone who wandered onto Okara. The orange light allowed him to create avatars of pure energy out of any being he had ever killed, each of whom could act as thinking soldiers, able to carry out his orders and kill his enemies, thus further increasing the number of orange lanterns Larfleeze could create. Larfleeze, already a long-lived alien species, became essentially immortal, and over the eons his power grew and grew as he slaughtered anyone who came in his way. He became so closely related to the power of the Orange Lantern Corps that, unknown to even Larfleeze himself, the alien became a living battery of the orange energy that represents the greed within all life in the universe. Larfleeze kept the entire Corps' worth of rings for himself, each of which tend to already sustain a great deal of energy output and storage when compared to the rings of the other Lantern Corps that would emerge in the centuries to come. There is no known limit to the range from which Larfleeze can control his constructs. Additionally, the orange energy of greed seems particularly resistant to the energy of Green Lanterns, while, on the other hand, it can be dampened by the energy from other Lantern Corps, such as those that represent more positive emotions like hope, compassion, and love. For all the formidable powers of the Orange Lantern, it all comes at a terrible cost. The orange light of avarice had an overwhelming effect on Larfleeze's mind. He became consumed with greed and hunger, a hunger so persistent it could never ever be satisfied, no matter how much Larfleeze ate. The alien went insane, coming to believe he was from a made-up planet called Shakipats, and began talking to an imaginary version of his mother that he never really had. Thus, much of what Larfleeze says or believes about his own history should not be believed. Likely, part of this came out of his endless isolation, and the eccentric behaviors Larfleeze exhibits are largely a way to distract himself from the never-ending hunger and paranoia the alien began to experience as an Orange Lantern. Just the same, the Guardians and Larfleeze respected their agreement for billions of years, with Larfleeze remaining alone on Okara, until other Lantern Corps began emerging throughout the universe. The Green Lanterns became the Guardians' personal peacekeeping force, replacing the Manhunters as sentient beings chosen throughout the universe and empowered with the green energy of willpower. Long after their creation, the Green Lanterns found themselves embroiled in a war with a new corps that used the powers of fear and served a former Green Lantern named Sinestro. Agent Orange tolerated this, as the Lanterns all managed to avoid Okara. However, other aliens called the Controllers, noted enemies of the Green Lanterns and Guardians, sought to use this opportunity to take the Orange power battery for themselves. They traveled to Okara and discovered the battery, only for Larfleeze to unleash his constructs onto the Controllers and slaughter every one of them. Agent Orange was left enraged, feeling that the Guardians had violated his truce. He had his avatars capture a nearby robotic Green Lantern named Stell, damaged it, and sent the lantern back to the Guardians' homeworld of Oa. And using his avatars, Larfleeze, by this point completely paranoid and crazed, refused to listen to reason, insisting that the Guardians were somehow responsible for the actions of the Controllers. He declared their truce null and void, and announced a war between Agent Orange and the Green Lanterns. Multiple Green Lanterns, accompanied by the Guardians themselves, were dispatched to Okara in response, and Larfleeze attacked in force with his avatars. One of the Green Lanterns was killed, and for the first time, a Green Lantern was added into Agent Orange's ranks. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern of Earth, was captured by Larfleeze, who became fascinated with a Blue Lantern ring that he had on him at the time. This ring was associated with the powers of hope, and the alien wanted it for himself, but its power repelled Larfleeze and his orange energy, with the blue ring claiming that hope is selfless. Larfleeze thus angrily cut off Hal Jordan's hand in order to seize the blue ring by force, and the ring turned Larfleeze into a Blue Lantern. For the first time in billions of years, the alien found himself free of Avarice's never-ending hunger, but that relief was all too temporary. An illusion created by the ring to pacify Larfleeze, who never actually cut off Hal's hand or took the blue ring. Jordan joined the rest of the Green Lanterns in facing off against Larfleeze once more, and during the following battle, Hal attempted to take away Larfleeze's power battery by seizing it himself. Upon picking it up, Hal was instantly possessed by the power of greed, and was only able to defeat Larfleeze by abandoning the power battery and using the blue power ring. With Larfleeze defeated, the Guardians decided that somebody else would eventually become Agent Orange if they simply killed Larfleeze, and opted to renegotiate terms of a truce instead. The exact details of this agreement are unknown, but one outcome was that the Guardians gave the location of the Blue Lantern Corps. So Larfleeze attacked the Blue Lanterns with a group of his orange constructs, controlling them remotely from the safety of his home. However, the battle was fated to fail. Unbeknownst to Larfleeze, the Blackest Night had begun. The sinister Lantern Corps, whose powers were associated with death, was unleashed on the universe, and black rings flew through space, seeking out the dead. Watching the battle against the Blue Lanterns unfold from Okara, Larfleeze was alarmed to discover a legion of black rings descend on his home and seek out the countless victims the alien had slaughtered over the years. The alien was almost immediately overwhelmed by his own victims, and Larfleeze was only saved by none other than Atrocitus, creator of the Red Lanterns, who represent the power of rage. The Red Lantern demanded that Larfleeze hand over the orange battery, and in spite of the fact that the two were surrounded by Black Lanterns, they began to fight. They were nearly killed in the middle of their own insane battle before representatives from the other Lantern Corps saved the two from certain death. This new group wanted to work together to defeat the Black Lanterns. Larfleeze to agree to cooperate, but only on the condition that his Orange Lantern Corps get a guardian of its own. Sade, a guardian and one of the two creators of the Blue Lanterns, agreed to join Larfleeze if they succeeded in averting the Blackest Night. With the group, Larfleeze traveled to Earth, and his ring was copied in order to deputize a human into the Orange Lantern Corps. Lex Luthor was chosen as the Orange Lantern, though he and Larfleeze could barely control their powers enough to work together instead of simply killing each other outright rather than allowing their powers to be shared. When the Black Lanterns were eventually defeated, the alien managed to strip Lex of his new power ring, and Larfleeze, so disgusted with the human, turned the man over to the heroes of Earth. The others were quick to note that this was the first time any of them had ever seen Larfleeze give up anything, a fact that Agent Orange was quick to brush off. As promised, Sade joined the Orange Lanterns, although Larfleeze decided not to leave Earth. Instead, he sought Lex Luthor out, and apparently, his curiosity piqued by Blackest Night, asked Lex what was important to the people of Earth. Luthor responded that humans seek two things: power and land. Larfleeze at first reasoned that he did have power of his own, but just the same went after a source of power that Luthor was seeking, and discovered the growing power of the White Lantern Corps that represent life itself, beginning to take root on Earth. Overwhelmed by its sheer energy, Larfleeze encountered, for the first time in his life as an Orange Lantern, something that he actually didn't want. Instead, he decided to seek out the other thing that Luthor had mentioned: land, and took up a home in a small, Midwestern American town. His presence proved a nuisance, with his avatars stealing things around that town and creating some issues around Christmas before the alien was confronted by Hal Jordan. The two started arguing when Hector Hammond, a powerful villainous telepath, attacked them both, and managed to free the entity that represents greed's energy, known as Ophidian, which, as it turns out, had been trapped in Larfleeze's orange power battery. It's revealed that Larfleeze had forcibly imprisoned it in the power battery to begin with, while Ophidian was frustrated by Larfleeze's non-sophisticated level of desire, which he wasn't able to mold like he would other sentient creatures. Thus, Ophidian immediately attacked Agent Orange. The entity of greed tried to consume Larfleeze alive, but Hal managed to save him while Ophidian fled and was ultimately captured by a then unknown force. Though Larfleeze was distracted by the overall vibe of Las Vegas, he was eventually pulled into a larger conflict with the other emotional entities, who were all vanishing. This was the work of Krona, the same Guardian who had created the original map that led Larfleeze to Akara ages ago. During this encounter, Agent Orange and several other Lanterns were trapped in the Book of the Black, a sinister artifact that had originally created the Black Lanterns. There, Larfleeze was forced to relive his memories of being a slave, only freed later by Kyle Rayner. Upon his return, the alien, briefly freed from the influence of the orange light for the first time in a very long time, tried to avoid his orange power ring returning to him, fearing it and wanting it to stay away from him. Yet when the ring joined with him, he was once again possessed by its power, and instantly returned to his usual, half-insane self.
Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is part 1 of my origins and bio for Larfleeze. So we're on to the Orange Lantern Corps as part of my origins and bios for my favorite characters from each Lantern Corps. Naturally, I only had so many choices given the nature of the Orange Lanterns and the fact that only a few people have ever become an Orange Lantern, but I ended up going with Larfleeze just the same. The others and their role in this corps is a lot more limited. I'll talk a little bit more about how I feel about Larfleeze and what stories I'd recommend in part 2 of this video, but for now, thanks for watching, and if you like Comic Island, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you can see part 2 of this video, as well as future content including origins and bios for a character from each of the Lantern Corps going forward. Be sure to check out our Patreon page in the video description below. Patrons have a say in the content we make, and it's part of the reason why we've been able to upgrade our technology in recent days, allowing for better videos and more content going forward. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.